Wise is the newest 5-star coming to Star. It's not Wise from Zenless, but they're the exact same. They share the voice actor too. Anaxa. Oh! Anaxa is the other 5-star coming in Phase 2 after Castoris, where everyone will have no pulls basically. He follows the erudition path and is a wind type unit. He apparently likes Silverwolf so much that he got his own kit to look exactly the same, and he did it 10 times better than her. What do I mean? He applies weaknesses with his attacks, and he deals more damage the more weaknesses the enemies have. Why and how does he do all of this? Why did he copy Silverwolf? We'll be looking at all of that in this Anaxa guide. Let's take a look at everything from kit, Eidolons, relics, traces, teams. We'll be looking at all of those. Make sure to subscribe, and let's get right into the Anaxa guide. With Castoris, Phynon, and the Fade collab on the way, your Jades are looking a little grim. Luckily for her, and you, I have just the solution. LDSHOP, the sponsor of today's video. They are currently offering up to 19% off of all Star Rail products, so it is your best chance to not miss out. Want to get a discounted version of Jade purchases and save money? Here's the price comparison of LDSHOP and the actual Star Rail shop. As you can see here, if I was to buy this, I would be saving $21 whole just by using LDSHOP. All you have to do is go to the Star Rail page of LDSHOP, click on the package you want to get. For example, I will be buying the Express Pass. And simply what you have to do is you have to enter your server. So I'm going to choose Europe, and you're going to enter your game UID. Once you have entered your game UID, you're going to want to click top up. A little nice window is going to appear right here. And with my special 5% off coupon that you get from clicking down below in the description, you're going to click pay now. And as you can see, as I'm on Star Rail, I'm just walking around. And there you go. If you spend over 80 bucks in a single month on LDSHOP, you will gain the VIP status, which rewards you with a free Express Pass. And LDSHOP, as I said before, has a new 10% off coupon for newcomers, alongside my 5% off special coupon, and many more that you can use on your purchases. Thanks again to LDSHOP for sponsoring this video. For his smaller traces, we have a nice little 12% crit rate. We have just some little stat increases that kind of help him out. And this 12% crit rate actually helps with his second trace, which gives him 140 crit damage. You'll see that in a second. We also have 22 wind damage bonus and some HP for good measure. And for the wind damage bonus we gain here, I believe attack percent ball will be a smidge better, just because wind damage bonus counts as damage bonus and attack percent is different, so you can actually balance them out with an attack percent ball if you like. But again, wind damage bonus on the ball is actually just as good, don't you worry. Now for the 3 main traces, we have his A2 with his basics generating 10 extra energy, just in case if you run out of skill points when Anaxa takes his turn, you can get his ultimate no matter what happens. Also, if there are no enemy targets in the Qualitative Disclosure state, he immediately will generate 30 energy. What does Qualitative Disclosure mean? Well, it basically translates to if no enemies on the field have 5 or more weaknesses active, then he will gain tons of energy so he can activate his ultimate much faster. Trace 2 features his self buffs with a massive 140 crit damage increase just by being on the field, and if you have an ally with him, another erudition, it will increase all damage dealt by allies by 30%. And lastly, for every weakness on the enemy, Anaxa will be ignoring 4% of their defense for each one, up to 7 weaknesses in total, which means a maximum of 21% defense ignore. So what do you gain from the traces? You gain 21% defense ignore, 30% damage increase for the whole team, a 140 crit damage self buff, and tons of energy for ult spams. What the fuck? His kit doesn't have the most interesting things to talk about other than planting weaknesses, so I'll just go over the kit as quickly as possible. For the skill, he has a similar skill to Sampo's with 4 random instances and 1 instance on the targeted enemy, and he will be prioritizing enemies that have not been hit by the skill. What this means is he will be applying as many unique weaknesses as possible, and also the more enemies there are on the field, the more damage he will be dealing with the skill. How much more damage? Well, every enemy available that can be attacked will increase the skill's damage by 20% for for each one of them, meaning we have a total of 100% damage increase. That's on the skill, by the way, not a full damaging. I'll save the best ones for last, so let's take a look at the technique. He terrifies enemies for 10 seconds, and when he enters the battle, it is considered as attacking a weakness, meaning he will reduce all weaknesses no matter what. He will also be applying one weakness depending on what element the attacker is. For example, if Castorus is attacking, he will apply a quantum weakness. If Anaxa attacks, it will be wind. If Aglaia attacks, it will be lightning, and more. This is very helpful for a break team, by the way. Imagine if Rappa, for example, you use her imaginary attack, and now everybody has an imaginary weakness, so she can break them even more easily. Now, for his ultimate, he inflicts the sublimation effect on all enemies, and while they are in this state, enemies will gain all elemental weaknesses until their next turn. And if they lack the controlled resistance, they will not be able to act in sublimation. This is more for the weaker enemies, not some kind of boss, because usually bosses do have some type of resistance. So think of it as eliminating the smaller enemies so the bigger enemy can only play the game. Simple ultimate, effective in damage, and honestly very useful with all the weakness implants. And finally, for the talent, Anaxa's attacks will be inflicting a random weakness, prioritizing weaknesses that aren't already present on the enemy for 3 turns. Enemies with 5+ weaknesses will enter the qualitative disclosure state, making them take 30% more damage from Anaxa. Attacking these enemies with a basic attack or skill will grant Anaxa an extra skill usage that is completely free, and it will not trigger the state effect again. Also, if the enemy dies before the additional skill triggers, it will redirect to a random enemy on the field. So going back to his traces now, the qualitative disclosure, as you can see, this is just for his talent. If no enemies are above 5+ weaknesses, then he will gain 30 energy, making it easier for him to put as many weaknesses as he likes on what enemy you like. For his abilities, I want to point out his ultimate as your main goal to level up, since it will be a common occurrence in the battle and his big source of damage. After that, you want to follow up with his talent and finally his skill. Basics are as usual completely irrelevant, and all of his skills are only damage increases, so of course they should be leveled, but they don't have any other crazy increase that makes any ability get prioritized over the other. What I mean is, you're not getting any crazy buff or any crazy status from it, you're just getting pure damage increase. Anaxa, being the white-haired, Alhaitham-looking, wise-voiced male that he is, he knows and has his knowledge to get his damage to the highest possible amount, and luckily for him, I do as well. 4-piece Pioneer is an amazing choice at first glance, since you can activate a debuff, meaning you get the extra crit damage increases and crit rate, and you obviously get a 12% bonus on the debuffed enemies. But finally, after months and endless guides, Genius of the Brilliant Stars makes a return as one of the best in slots for a character. Genius of the Brilliant Stars actually will be providing its full 20% defense ignore, meaning that with his kit, he actually now has 41% defense ignore towards enemies. If you're wondering why he has so much from the set as well, he can easily apply the quantum weakness just because he can apply all of the weaknesses, which of course means he gets the entire set bonus. Defense ignore is an insane stat for Stariel, and most units can't even think about providing it. So for him to have 41% defense ignore, he must be doing something right. Other sets that you can use is of course the Scholar set, because he will be using lots of ultimates, and he for sure will be skilling once in between every ult, so he can make very good use of this set. Lastly, Eagle 4-piece is actually pretty good if you want him as more of a utility type unit to spam his ultimates and provide weaknesses. But again, Pioneer is fantastic, Genius should be insane, Scholar is amazing of course, you can go with a utility Anaxa as I said before with Eagle 4-piece, and just completely ditch the idea of DPS Anaxa. All of these will work at 100% efficiency, so you will always be getting these max set bonuses from all of these sets. For planners, Base Sealing Station can work pretty well, since he doesn't get any attack increases unless you have E4, meaning this attack increase will actually be very useful. As for a higher speed Anaxa, Glamoth will work even better, giving him of course some attack and lots of damage increases from the high speed. And of course, as for the best in slot, Izumo will be amazing because he will get lots of crit rate due to his high crit damage, but remember, you need another erudition partner with him. Chica, chica. Unfortunately, I don't have many jokes or anything to say about Anaxa since I haven't seen him in the story yet, so we'll just go straight to the light cones he likes. His signature light cone, life should be cast to flames, of course, fixes and provides everything Anaxa wishes. At the start of his turn, he regenerates 10 energy, and if the enemy target has a weakness implanted by Anaxa himself, he will be gaining a 60% damage bonus when he attacks an enemy, and he will decrease their defense by 12% for 2 turns. These are very solid buffs, but I would have recommended Hoyoverse to give us a little bit of crit rate, which he had in version 4. Unfortunately, this was supposed to be fixed through this light cone, but as I just said, Storyl decided this was too much, and they gave him even more self buffs, but I guess this helps your team a little more with the defense of the enemies going down, helping you in the dual DPS situations. Now let's go over his free-to-play options. I'll be mentioning Passkey, Sagacity here, as well as Databank, since they aren't actually as bad as you think, only having bad base stats since they are 3 stars. Other than being 3 stars, especially Passkey, they are all very good options. For actual light cones you want to use, The Day the Cosmos Fell is actually very good, and again fully free to play, as well as the Seriousness of Breakfast. Both are completely free and really good to use for him, so make sure to pick those up if you don't have any other options. Genius's Repose can also work, but in my opinion there are better options like Make the World Clamor, for example, since he does ult quite often and his damage mostly comes from his ultimate. Now for actually good light cones, Eternal Calculus, the LDSHOP light cone, is as usual good with him, as well as Night on the Milky Way, being even better for pure fiction or battles with a lot of enemies on the field. Milky Way especially becomes basically a must-use light cone because you gain a damage bonus after you break an enemy, and with him giving all elements to the enemy, it becomes really easy to get that buff. Finally, the amazing news for free-to-play or not pulling for the light cone people, a new event will feature a new light cone perfectly tailored to him, named the Great Cosmic Enterprise. It provides 16% attack, and every weakness on the enemy, the wearer will deal 8% extra damage for each weakness, up to 7 weaknesses. This obviously is insane, and you should use this because it does surpass quite a lot of the light cones. Lastly, an honorable mention to the Battle Pass light cone. He has 140 energy cost, so you can almost make full use of this light cone. Again, his signature is really good, a new free event light cone will be fantastic for him, and a lot of other good options are also very much available, so again, light cone wise, he is actually really well off. For his teammates, he actually has an entire category of the entire erudition path, since they can activate a trace of his, giving him a little bit more damage to the teammates, and in general, you don't need to activate it at all to have a good Anaxa. Anaxa can work in a solo team just fine. Now, let's go over some units that will actually be good with him, and then we'll move on to the teams. For supports, Bronya is really good, and obviously Sunday outclasses her in all aspects almost, so I would recommend Sunday over Bronya, but again, some people don't have Sunday. Ranmei is also a good buffer and helps reduce the toughness bar better, since Anaxa will always have the right element to break it. As for Robin, she's the usual amazing pick, nothing much to say, amazing damage bonus, attack increase, and good personal damage as well, just makes a very good unit overall. Asta is also going to be good because of her huge speed and attack increase, which Anaxa likes since he buffs himself with a lot of crit damage and other stuff that is an attack percent. What I'm saying is basically you're filling in the spots that he isn't self-buffing himself with. So for example, he's giving himself a lot of crit damage, but Asta is giving him a lot of attack, so you're kind of trying to balance this out with as much buffing as possible. Tribi will be one of his best, if not the best support, since she is the queen of helping self-buffing units deal more damage, plus she will be triggering her follow-up attack every Anaxa ult because he has a low energy cost and high energy gain, especially if you get his signature light cone, and I don't need to mention Huoho and Locha, units that are super skill positive or give energy to allies will be fantastic supports for any Anaxa team out there. Finally, Zhao Cho is going to be good with him, giving ult damage increase, which obviously Anaxa does quite a bit of it, and of course the king or queen, depending what you picked, of the free-to-play supports strikes again, the Remembrance Trailblazer. They give true damage buffs, they advance forward your ally, they give you a lot of crit stats, and especially for your team, and basically they're just an amazing unit that I cannot recommend enough. I wish we had 2 of them. Anyways, now that we have gone over a few of the units that you can use with him, here is some team examples so you have a rough idea of how you're gonna build him. We will be looking at the free-to-play and pay-to-win teams first, and then I will show you some more general examples of when Anaxa can be used. I can't really explain too much on the teams, so you can have a nice little pause and take a look for yourself. I'm sure you can see how simple he is to build and put him on a team. All you have to do is you need him to do the damage, someone to buff him, a sustain that gives energy or is skill positive like Gallagher and Locha for example, and of course you either need another buffer for him or a second DPS, depending on what you want to do. Basically, you can play him as a hyper carry in most situations, but you can also use his trace that unlocks with another erudition path unit on field with him. Both are fantastic options, and both Anaxas will be dealing a lot of damage. Again, this depends on how you play him. If you want to play him more DPS, obviously go over to the hyper, go into the hyper carry Anaxa build, but if you want him to be a little bit more utility, if you're going to play 4-piece Eagle for example, I would be recommending you to play him with 4-piece Eagle and play him in a dual DPS team. I don't know if you noticed, but I'm just having my runtime go and go and go as you look at these teams. Okay, I'll drink my coffee, you read them for a couple seconds more, and we'll move on to the Eidolons. Going to Eidolons now, I'm sure some people are interested in getting a bunch of these, and I'm just going to tell you what they do, and you can decide where you want to burn your money. For his E1, he gets a free skill usage for his first ever skill in battle, and when he hits an enemy with his skill, it decreases their defense by 16% for 2 turns, meaning you are over 50% defense ignore, which is actually a crazy number to think about. Now, obviously this isn't a 50% ignore on the enemies, this is a 50% ignore on Anaxa and on decreases on the enemy, so don't get too confused. I'm just saying there's a lot of defense ignore going on. For his E2, it triggers his talent's weakness implant on all enemies once, and it reduces their all type res by 20% once he enters into battle. This one is a fantastic stopping point, giving your teammates incredible debuffs to work with, and in general all type res pen is amazing for any unit in the game. And of course, not every unit can give that. His E4 is much more basic, this is why I'm saying E2 is a good stopping point. It increases his attack by 30% for 2 turns after his skill is used, up to a maximum of a 60% increase, meaning up to 2 times he can increase his attack from 30% to 60%. And finally, for his E6, the damage dealt by Anaxa is 130% of the original damage, and the talent with the erudition requirements will no longer have any requirements. It will have both effects active no matter what. For the first part of E6, it basically makes his scalings a lot better, and to give you an example, if he deals 100 damage normally, with E6 he will be dealing 130 damage. If he deals 100,000 damage, he will deal 130. And as for his talent getting fully unlocked, it's just a nice quality of life thing that you don't need to buff your teams with another erudition. You can just put Anaxa there and everything will be okay. There have been a lot better E6s, but this one is okay. It can work. I don't exactly think it's worth your money, but I believe it's better than nothing. I'm not exactly hyped about Anaxa since I haven't seen him yet at the time of recording, but he does look really cool, and I've seen him from his ultimate how insane the animations are. I've had a lot of fun making this video. Make sure to go check out my Castors one as well if you haven't already. Subscribe to my channel for more guides, and before you go, thanks for the insane support on the Castors video. It means the world to me to see my hard work getting so much attention and helping everyone out. Thanks again for the support. I will be making more guides anyway. Make sure to watch them, and love you folks. Have a good one.